Hi, I'm Sarah Taylor. I'm an awakening trail guide and an intuitive energy healer, and I'm also an ADHD woman. That means I am autistic and ADHD, late realized, late diagnosed, and here we are. And I want to ask, hey, creatives, artists, do you feel like your desire to be self-expressed and your creative mojo is being drained out of you on the spiritual path? You've had an insight, you've had an opening, an awakening, and you're like, where did it go? You are not alone, and it's not the end of the story. So welcome. Let's get into this. A little bit about my background. Some of you may know I was a professional actor and stand-up comedian. I've also been a performance artist and avant-garde theater performer. I have been a singer, trained singer, a writer. I play instruments. I have always been creatively expressed and always driven to be creatively expressed. And I've also undergone a very profound shift in consciousness known as non-dual awakening. So when I got into acting as a teenager, acting and singing, I had a desperate need to be self-expressed. And often this is what brings us to the creative path, is this desire to express ourselves, right? Well, that starts to ebb and fall away as we see through the structures of self, the structures of ego on the spiritual path. If we're on a deep spiritual path where we want to awaken to our true nature, to the nature of reality, this will start to happen. There will be an ebbing away of, a seeming ebbing away of your personhood. You're still a person. You're still a unique individual, and the world still needs your unique expression of creativity. But it really is this need, this yearning, this desire to be self-expressed that begins to shift and change, and how we express ourselves really, really can shift along with a spiritual awakening. So we're moving from the personal to the transpersonal. And if you've ever read some incredible poetry by, Hafiz or Rumi, or, listened to some beautiful music, or watched a killer stand-up comedian who just really nailed it, or an actor, it's beyond them as a person. They're speaking to something larger, either to the human experience in general that we all share, or that which is even beyond our shared humanity. And it can be woven in there, right? So there'll still be this impulse to create, although it may go through cycles where you don't feel like being creative. I know for me, when I opened up into the emptiness of self and the emptiness of all phenomena, I didn't feel like getting on stage and going to comedy clubs and working on comedy material. I showed up for my gigs, but there was no juice. And then after a while, something returned, and there was less of the need to express myself and more of, oh, this is a funny, weird thing about humanity. That started emerging more. There was a call to put the Dharma into my comedy and storytelling, and I had a show on tour for a while that was like Dharmedy, like Dharma and comedy. So something was changing. There was still the personal. There's nobody like you as a creative. Nobody. So whether you're expressing the vastness of humanity or the infinitude of our true nature, our ultimate nature, there is nobody who can do it the way you do, because you are unique. You have a unique wiring, a unique structure, a unique past that informs how you express these universal themes. So this isn't to say that if you're in a phase or a stretch of time in your life on the spiritual path where you do feel a need to be self-expressed, beautiful, do it. I mean, again, I was a teenager and I got into acting and singing and wow, like to be able to express myself in those ways, it was deeply healing, deeply cathartic. It spoke to something in me. It was helpful. So keep being personally expressed. My gosh, we need that. But just know if you start to kind of have a different relationship with your creativity or the topics that you're interested in as a creative, that's to be expected. These cycles of falling away where it feels barren, and then something starts to emerge again, and it's different. It's different. Let it be different. And you might have to go show up for a job. I mean, I remember this was back before streaming shows and streaming platforms existed, but NBC was doing a streaming television show that I had just had a major, incredible awakening, like very profound, where the sense of self fell away, and you can listen to it on my channel. And I got a call from my agent that I had booked this role on this NBC series, this streaming series, and I cried. Because all I wanted to do after that was like go to a cave and meditate. All I wanted to do was just rest in this emptiness that had opened up, this luminosity. I just wanted to rest there. But I showed up for the gig and I did it for 3 seasons. And it was so fun because I was this channel for this wacky, I always played a lot of wacky characters, and she was just a blast. And there was more of me out of the way. So whether you're a sculptor or a painter or a dancer or a writer, more of you will get out of the way so that something can shine through. And then eventually there was a desire to be self-expressed again, and that reached a peak, and that intermingled with this desire to, or this yearning, or this call, or this movement to express the transpersonal, and then fell away again. And then there was a barren stretch, and it just went on like this, on like this. It's like a washing machine, washing the lens of self. But again, the need to be self-expressed. It might really change how you do your art. Doesn't mean you can't, but you might be so used to being, passionately intense about expressing how you feel or what happened to you or your opinion about things. And where did it go? I just want to encourage you to keep exploring. Pay attention to these subtle movements. The desire to create, the itch to create will not go away. I'm currently in a phase where, it's been some years since I've done, performing. It's just there's no desire. Yeah, and so I'm doing this. I've been doing this for years, so that's hasn't changed. But this feels creative. There's still a movement of creativity that wants to come through you and out into the world. I love Liz Gilbert's book, Big Magic. And, you might not agree with everything she writes in there. That's fine. Take what you want and leave the rest. But I think it's a beautiful, beautiful book about how there are creative impulses that are in the field, and this creative impulse will land and find someone who is receptive and who responds, who is responsive to that. And that's the other thing that happens. Post-awakening, especially if the structures of self are like, you become more responsive than initiatory. I was an initiator for many, many years. I feel completely responsive now. I show up to a group, a satsang, there's nothing going on. Somebody might ask a question, or I'll sit with the energy of the group and something emerges, and then something comes forward. Or somebody might ask me a question, or someone might say, hey, can you make a video on this? Because, I would watch that. Oh yeah, that sounds good. I'm responsive now rather than initiatory. So that also starts to happen. So pay attention to what you're responding to in the field. And is it yours to rise up and, take it up and do something with it? Maybe, maybe not. It's a subtle movement. And, you're losing ego. You're not losing your talents and your gifts. That's not going to happen. You might find that your talents and your gifts can flow more easily, more effortlessly. But trust the evolution that's happening. Your unique expression is very much needed in this world. All of us, like you'll notice on YouTube, all these spiritual teachers, might be describing awakening differently, or their experience of it is differently. Sure, there are different phases and stages, and there are depths of awakening that people can know and realize. And some people dip into the shallow end and get right out there and start making YouTube videos, and others sit around for years and wait to, get out there. And, it's all fine, right? It all belongs. But it's unique. Your spiritual awakening, your spiritual unfoldment is going to be very unique. There might be a lot of energy with your spiritual awakening for a while, and then that ebbs. There might be a lot of emptiness. There might be a lot of divinity and light and fullness and yumminess. You might have a lot of bliss. Somebody else might not. So we are unique vessels, not only for reality, for truth, for true nature, but for creativity, for Shakti. So trust what's moving through you. And of course, if it's part of your job to, show up at the studio and do the artwork, or, show up to the stage or the recording studio or whatever, that the laptop to write the thing, because it's part of your job, then you do it. And you allow there to be this lack of what was once there driving you, and just get curious. You're moving from the personal to the infinite, from the finite perspective to the infinite, to the great totality. And we'll still need to hear from your unique perspective. The Sturm und Drang of what moved me to do Shakespeare and avant-garde theater, and then go into stand-up. It softens. But that doesn't mean creativity isn't moving through you. I never would have thought I'd be doing this stuff. What, are you kidding me? I'm an artist. But here we are. And this is what the creative impulse has led me to. And it's wonderful. And we'll see what happens next. So listen subtly to what is wanting to move within you. And when there's an absence of what was there, notice what is here now. All right, if this was helpful, if you enjoyed listening to this, please subscribe, hit the bell to be notified about new videos, and leave in the comments. Are you an artist or creative? What's it like for you on the spiritual path? Tell me. I want to hear. All right, till next time. Take care.